When I first saw the 2025 Australian Open's men's singles draw, I thought to myself, it's going to be really hard for Novak Djokovic to have to beat the number 3, number 2, and number 1 players in the world back to back to back in order to win his 25th record setting on the men's and women's side, all-time great record for Grand Slams. But I thought, you know what? He probably can do it. And lucky for Novak, the easiest of those 3 matches will be the first one he'll have to do in the quarterfinals. And I penciled him in my draw to take out Carlitos Alcaraz. It was all fun and games for Carlos at first, though.
Match with Novak Djokovic.
With his team there.
There he was in the player stretch area. Only about an hour before the match.
We don't know. We're left to look at the reaction.
Hit a camera, hit a person, broke something. Not long later, it was all screaming.
Frustration growing.
He had a good reason. Look at the UTR probability metrics here. We have a 48% probability win. You know, these things are always terrible, but Djokovic had a 48% chance to win this match. Alcaraz, 52. If we look at the win predictor brought to you by Infosys, the official ESPN broadcasting win predictor, they got Djokovic, actually, 56 over 44% chance to win. And then after he dropped the first set and had l'accident, the accident, they dropped Joker's chances to 28%. I think you could argue that a big part of why Joker won today was because of l'accident.
I thought I started off very well. It was quite even match, and then the accident happened physically with me in the end of the first. I lost the first set. Came back, somehow managed to win the second, and then started to feel better, I guess. Towards the end of the second, beginning of the third, started to move better.
Now, I'm sure some Joker skeptics out there would say he's faking it, just like he did against Taylor Fritz that time a couple years ago at the Australian Open. And you're not the only person, if you're one of those people saying that, to think this, because in the fourth set, early in the fourth set, I guess this might have been right after the third set, take a look at this response from Alcaraz.
I talked about him getting frustrated.
Oh, he was frustrated.
Novak is kind of in his head, and when he was coming to the changeover here,
this is pretty funny.
You can see the frustration. He's kind of looking around.
He's like mimicking being injured. And then he should have done a backflip and something like really cool after, because that's basically what Djokovic did. He looked injured, and then he looked pretty awesome, at least with the game plan, the focus, and the aggression of the match. Djokovic was asked about this. He said, it was Ben Rothenberger, it sounds like. They were asking Joker. Some people said that Alcaraz was distracted by your injury. What do you do when you notice something like this in a match?
Carlos was admitting that after he started to get injured, he got a little bit distracted and maybe lost his focus a bit. I'm just wondering, did you notice that?
Yeah.
And also,
I did. I saw it, and I try to use that to my advantage in a sense to take the initiative of the rallies and his hesitation, and he was trying to play at some point quite a few drop shots and make me run.
And it did not work. Of course, Joker later would say something that I thought was pretty good, and you'll see it in this point. Alcaraz tries everything. This really sums up the match for me after the accident, as Djokovic called it. This sums it up for me, and Joker said it later. He said Alcaraz was more focused on me than he was on him and his own game, which was a crucial error for Alcaraz. Alcaraz would later say that he should have, basically put his foot down and gone full throttle attack mode in the second set, not giving Djokovic any chance to come back, even if he looked like he might have been injured. Here's the point. This is a set point to go up 2-1. Djokovic is supposed to be hurt, not moving. Alcaraz is like, okay, I'm just trying to keep the ball in and move this guy around, wait for him to get more injured. Let's throw a drop shot. Let's go over his head and make him run that down. Surely he's going to give up on that, right? No, not on set point. Not Novak. Too distracted to hit a really good shot here. He definitely can't pull off the incredible drop volley that would have been required to win that point. Novak Djokovic takes the set and the lead, and you can hear it's a pro Djokovic crowd, but he finds the one person in the crowd who was against him and blows a kiss to him. Djokovic will you can have a 99.9% pro Djokovic crowd, and he'll find the 1%, the 0.1%, the one person who's against him, and use it to his benefit. Alcaraz already knows this. It's not like he learned this lesson, but it's a good time to bring it up. Danny Medvedev said it best. When it comes to Novak Djokovic in the sport of tennis, think about some hot shots like Holger Rune, right? He was part of the next big three. Now he's out of that three, but at least Alcaraz and Sinner, they stuck around in that next big three. They're the next big two, right? I heard at the beginning of the tournament, the next big three is Sinner, Alcaraz, and some guy called Yo-Yo Fonseca. He had a great win over Rublev, but he didn't go that far. So when it comes to these young guys and all their talent and flash coming into the game, and then it comes to Novak Djokovic, just remember what Danny Medvedev said. Young players get the money, the girls, and casino. But Novak Djokovic got the slams, the gold medal, and all of the records. In honor of Novak, I got my Novak book out, and we'll do a two-handed backhand. I feel like a dinosaur when I try to hit a two-hander. There we go. There's one in honor of Novak Djokovic. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. It's been a while, but Happy New Year. We are back. And we got the official sponsor of the Australian Open right here on ESPN. Not the official sponsor of Coffee Break Tennis, but I had a few. I had a few in the fridge, so I figured I'd break one out since I saw it on the ESPN broadcast. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. An exciting time to join us. Quarterfinals will be finished tonight. A few hours, give or take 6 or so hours from now. We will know our final four, our semi-finalists. I want to go back to that clip I was playing of Novak Djokovic earlier, though, before we go and talk about the other quarterfinalists. And there's not much to analyze. Demon Hour, Sinner. That's an easy one to pick, you would think. And Sonego, or Sonego, as some call him, Lorenzo Sonego, the Italian, big bop in Italian. This is not his best surface. He's going to be tough to beat, but I think Ben Shelton, I said we'll get to it later, but I basically just told you. There's no way that we don't see Sinner and Shelton in the other half of that semifinal, but we'll take a closer look at their head-to-heads. Not much to look at for the Demons. Sorry, head-to-head against Jannik Sinner. But anyways, back to Djokovic and Alcaraz match, and we'll talk a little bit about Zverev, his win too. But this was good. Let me finish the rest of that clip from earlier.
I've been in the situations as well where opponents, struggle with injury but keep going, and then you're like, the opponent is going for everything, and then he's staying in the match, and then all of a sudden, as the match progresses, the opponent feels better, and then you're starting to panic a bit with your game. So I understand the feeling. I didn't feel great the second set, but I went for my shots, and I was really close to the line and just had to be more aggressive. And as I said in my previous answer, felt better and better as the match progressed, particularly end of the second and the entire third till mid-fourth set was the best that I felt in terms of the movement after that injury. So I felt like it wasn't restricting me as much, to be honest.
So first there, he was talking about how it's distracting, and he's been there before. He's had a guy who is injured, keeps playing through the injury, and it gets better. Sometimes it gets better because they give you painkillers, and sometimes it gets better because adrenaline finds a way to carry you through. It's funny, part of what's so great about Djokovic is his commitment to being the greatest, and part of that commitment is being so fit and so flexible. So what did pliability. Tom Brady said that it's not just flexibility, it's his pliability that enables him to play so long when he was still playing quarterback. Djokovic, same kind of deal. I think when he has an injury like this, it doesn't affect him as much as a normal pro tennis player. And, you heard Djokovic said he was poisoned when they held him back in 2020, when they held him in detention while they were checking out his visa and deciding whether or not to deport him in the 2020 or 2021 Australian Open, excuse me. And was it 20? Yeah, it was 2021. It was because 2020 they actually played, if you'll remember, since it's in January, and the world stopped for a while after that. But yeah, 2021, the Joker said that they gave him normal human food, which poisoned him, right? Joker can be a little sensitive. His standards are very high for nourishment, and they're very high for performance out of his body. So for him, catastrophic, right? He doesn't have 100% of his movement ability. He's feeling it in the groin. Funny enough, I had a couple tweaks to my groin playing tennis a lot like I do last year. Actually tweaked my groin a couple of times. So I know how it feels. It's definitely not something you want, but the more you play through it and the blood flows through your body, you can kind of get past it, especially if it's kind of minor, and I'm sure it affects Djokovic less than it would somebody else. So by the time painkillers kicked in, like he said, his movement got better. He said at the end when he had to close the match that it wasn't as good, which makes sense. You can play through it. The painkillers will help. But then again, after a while, you're playing a brutal match. It's going to make you tired anyways. On top of that, you're kind of trying to mask an injury and move past it. So it makes sense that it would come back a little in the end. And now he said everything is about recovery. I did say that this would be the easiest of the three. I thought Zverev is more dangerous here than Alcaraz. I think there's a reason. It was easy for me to say that Djokovic. I wish I would have put up a video before and I could take full credit, but trust me, I did say before this match that Djokovic would win. And a part of that is because Alcaraz, there's a reason why he hasn't won this, right? He's won the other majors. He hasn't won the Aussie yet. He doesn't do as well. Just look at last time they played. When they played in Cincinnati, which it plays faster here than it does in Cincinnati at the Australian Open. But when they play on these faster, low-bouncing hard courts, and you would think it would apply to Wimbledon too, but for whatever reason, Alcaraz, when he's on grass, he serves amazing. And he just didn't serve like that the way he would need to in this match. And a big difference, I thought, was he didn't return like Djokovic. And that would be why you saw in the second serve numbers, if you looked at the stats, that Djokovic did a much better job winning on his second serve, and I think that came down to return. Really, Djokovic did a much better job attacking second serves than Alcaraz was able to do. So that's part of it. The last time they played, forget about Cincinnati. Last time they played was ATP World Tour Finals a couple years ago, I think. And Alcaraz got beat pretty bad by Djokovic there. So these kinds of courts, I don't think are Alcaraz's favorites, just like with Rafa. He won the least at the Aussie, never won the ATP Finals. That was a factor. Another factor for me was everything I heard about how Alcaraz was tweaking his game. And in the early rounds, they were talking about this a lot. This made me feel more confident in the early pick. As soon as I saw the draw, I thought, Joker's here to win this thing. He hired Andy Murray as a coach. He didn't do that for nothing. Right, he's making one last big push at least, and he believes he can win it, and I believe he can win it. And the hardest will be Sinner. Second hardest will probably be Zverev, because Zverev has been so serious about winning a major. He's just become more and more professional in the way he treats his game. I think he's going to be a tougher out here, just like at the ATP Finals. Think about how Zverev has blown Djokovic off that court before, whereas Alcaraz has not. And they kept talking, to go back to my second reason, they kept talking about how Alcaraz was working on just the serve and the return. He changed his serve a little bit and said he wanted to be like Andre Agassi and be a better returner. And to me, if Alcaraz is just working on something new at the start of this year, that's all well and good in the early rounds. And you can say, and they did say like, oh, it looks like Alcaraz is serving better than ever. And he's really focused on doing more damage with his return. But, that all goes out the window when you put someone under a lot of pressure. And I think that becomes a liability when you're working on something in your game. Yeah, that long-term can help you. But if you're doing it in a huge match, like quarterfinal against Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open, all of a sudden that can be pretty bad. All of a sudden you can feel like, oh man, I've been changing my serve and return and now it freaking sucks, and you're not able to produce a serving performance like he did those two Wimbledon victories over Djokovic. Anyways, moving on to Zverev. Sinner, I think, will be tougher out. Of course, he'll be the toughest to beat of all here. And it's going to be really tough, but I will say one last thing about the Alcaraz match tonight. And I think it's going to help in beating Zverev, and I think it's going to help in beating Sinner for Novak. The way he had to play like that forget about the groin injury. If Novak recovers totally, which I think he's got a good shot at it, at least by the time he gets to the final, if he can get through Zverev, again, it's going to be very tough. But if he does, let's say he's healthy, let's say he feels normal to play Zverev and Sinner, I think being able to step on the line, like you said, getting really close to the baseline and playing much more offensive than usual. Djoker's always been able to return great, one of the greatest returners ever. Djoker's serve has becoming great, kind of like Roger Federer style now. He's such a great spot server and can change speeds and mix things up. I wouldn't put him right there with Roger Federer, but he's pretty close now. Djokovic's serve has really become great. And, that's what they said about Alcaraz. That's what he's working on. Well, that's what Djokovic has been mastering, perfecting for years and years, and more recently with the serve. So when you factor that in, that Djokovic is already one of the best servers on tour, especially for his size, not being a 6'6" guy, one of these big guys like Zverev. You factor in he's had one of the greatest returns of all time for his whole career. And then you factor in that he can step it up and play really aggressive when he needs to. He was forced to do it, and he made it work very well against Alcaraz, who obviously is one of the best 3 players in the world right now. And I think if he can do that against Sinner and Zverev, I feel good about my chances of being right and saying Djokovic is going to get that record. If he doesn't do it here, I think he can do it at Wimbledon too, and I think he's going to go hard until he wants to break the Margaret Court record. He wants to break all of the records. So let's go to the head-to-head. I think Djoker leads 9-8, something like that. We'll count the numbers here. It looks like they split early. Zverev wins 2, Djoker wins 2 in the first year and a half that they're playing. Right, yeah, they play about halfway into 2017 in Rome for the first time, with Zverev winning. Of course, 2017 is a bad year for the Djoker. 2018 Shanghai, Djoker has come back. He's won Wimbledon and spanks Zverev there, 6-2, 6-1, beats him in the No.2 finals in 2018. And then, so, man, it's been a while since that match, huh? And then Zverev, after getting beat pretty bad, 6-4, 6-1, he does it in the actual final, not in the round-robin stage where Novak wins, 6-4, 6-3 at the ATP Finals 2018. They play 2019. Djoker wins the straight sets on clay. Djoker wins 4 in a row, winning 2019, 2020, 2021, 2021 again. A couple of those in Australia. The 2020 at the No.2 Finals. And then Zverev wins in 2021 in Tokyo. That was that was a weird match for Djokovic. That was a year where he could have won all 4 majors in one year, and he kind of overextended himself. And then Zverev, he kind of took Djokovic out and hooked Medvedev up with his U.S. Open win in 2021 when they had a very brutal 5-set match at the U.S. Open. And then 2021 No.2 Finals, Zverev beats the Djoker again, and then 2023, so the most recent match they had, Djoker takes the lead in the head-to-head, and 7-6, 7-5. It'll be tough, but I think after what he just went through with Alcaraz, it all comes down to the recovery, and I like his chances. Let's take a look at a few stats. We go back to Djokovic and Alcaraz here. One thing Djoker did throughout the match was first strike tennis. He was a little bit better. That goes to serving better on average and returning better on average. Being able to get that first strike in off of a good return or a good serve. The middle, what is that? It's hard to read. It's very small. The 1-4 to shot, and then that would be the 5-8, I think. Pretty even, 20 and 21 right there. And then where Djokovic really won by a lot would be in the, 9+ rallies. So long rallies favored the Djoker big time, and that just goes to show you how much Alcaraz got his brains scrambled. And maybe this is not the best surface to be rallying with the Djoker for Carlos. Looking at the stats, the thing that jumps out to me right away, you can break it down set by set and see in sets that Djoker wins, it's an even bigger difference. But even in the first set, Djoker's winning more on second serve than Alcaraz, and the whole match average together. You can see 58% win on second serve for the Djoker versus 33% for Alcaraz. That made a big difference, even though Alcaraz got so many first serves in, 74% first serves in, that number would go down as the match went on. So he'd get more and more looks at second serves and be able to pressure him. A lot of breaks in this match. Djoker saved 7, Alcaraz saved 7 as well. It is interesting to see Alcaraz with winning higher first serve, getting way more for 11% more first serves in, 74 to Djoker's 63, and yet getting double the aces, 10-5. A couple more double faults though, but way more winners, but a lot more unforced errors. Go with that. Let's see, the positive 14 for Djoker, positive 10 for Alcaraz. I mean, it's really close, but it is funny that first serve, there's a lot more of those, right? But second serve points can be very important. It can come at crucial moments in the match. Here's another thing Djoker did, starting with the second set right away. This just goes to show you, I'll look at the speed in a second too. Started hitting a lot of depth after that first set. Djoker's like, okay, my movement is not going to be 100%. I can't play long rallies and wait for my opportunities, take my chances. I got to go for it from the first ball. And it worked well. So good sign for Djoker fans that it worked here. And you can see in the first set, this is the average forehand speed. The Djoker was out hitting Alcaraz. So this was already kind of the game plan anyways, 81 to 79. But then after he gets hurt, he steps it up. Alcaraz drops 5 miles an hour, and Djoker steps it up to 85. Average forehand, 85 miles per hour. That's pretty big. So it's really big for a guy that's not a giant. Anyways, Tommy Paul and Zverev, weird match, but it just makes sense. Zverev, he's more professional than these guys. He's got more experience than these guys. He's just a better big match player. So any of these Americans, Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz, throw him in the trash compared to Sasha Zverev. I think he's in a better place than they are. And Tommy Paul had his chances to serve out. He served for the first set. He served for the second set. And then he gets 7-1 and 7-0 in the tie breaks. And then he wins that third set. And then next thing you know, he almost is getting bageled in the fourth set. So kind of a weird match for those reasons. But when it came to, winning the big points, just like you could see a lot of times, big moments came on second serve, and Djokovic won the majority of those in the match. And Zverev did the same thing. When he got into a tiebreak, he locked down. He made no unforced errors, and a lot of times he would go forehand to forehand. Let's look at that really quick. And by the way, who won the first serve battle? So yeah, Zverev won on everything. He won all the stats here, basically winning more second, first, getting more first serves in. Less aces. That's kind of funny. Tommy Paul had a couple more aces and less double faults. The winner ratio, Zverev is -9, and Tommy Paul -8. Wow. So am I doing the math right on that? It looks like Tommy Paul had a better winners to unforced errors ratio. But it doesn't matter. You can be outplaying your opponent a whole set and then play bad in a tiebreak. Obviously, you're going to lose. Look at this. This is another thing that happened. Zverev's forehand placement. So you're looking on the bottom here. Imagine you're Tommy Paul on the bottom of the screen. These are the balls coming from Zverev up top, and 51% of the time they're going cross-court forehand. Tommy Paul, great backhand, hit a lot of nice forehands. Had a couple highlight forehand winners that were really sweet. And hit the music. We're going to get out of here soon. But it can break down on that side. Zverev knew that. Zverev suffers from the same thing. If you're playing Zverev, you typically want to hit to his forehand more, but Zverev felt confident that his forehand would come out on top against Tommy Paul, so he was going cross-court a lot at TP's forehand to forehand, and that worked out for him. He won a lot of those. Anyways, we move on to the matches tonight. I don't have a ton to say about them. I think they'll be kind of easy. There's one win for Alex de Minaur, but it doesn't count because Sinner withdrew in 2023 at the Paris Masters. Sinner has won all of these matches going back to 2019 at the Next Gen Finals in the final. Remember that with the weird scoring, 4-2, 4-1, 4-2. And the next year, not the best year for Sinner after that. After all the excitement, 2020 he didn't do as well as I had thought he might. But I do remember he, towards the end of the year, he wins in Sofia, and that kind of got him back on track. He won that tournament, I believe, if I got the year right here. And he must have took Demon out in Sofia. 2022, beats him straight sets at the Aussie. Also beats him in Madrid straight sets. Also beats him in Canada in straight sets at 2023. Paris, 2023, Davis Cup, 2024 last year. Beats him in Rotterdam in the final. It was a decent match, 7-5, 6-4. Beats him in the Nito finals, 6-3, 6-4. And beats him in the Davis Cup semifinals, 6-3, 6-4. Again, I think Sinner's winning that in straight sets. Sonego, a little bit different. If you look at Sonego's win records on all surfaces, his best is actually on grass. Second best is on indoor. Third best is on clay. His worst record, he's just a little under 500, is on hard courts. So, I think that helps Ben Shelton. You look at Ben Shelton, he's really good. He's really good everywhere. He's our most talented, I think, American player right now. I like Ben Shelton to come through in 4 sets. We will be back to talk about the matches and to preview the semifinals a little bit more. Do comment below, and maybe we'll get to your comments in the next video. See ya!